So today we're going to do a little experiment. We're going to put a fan on the bees to see if this is going to cool them down. And that'd be a fun thing. But all week long, every day, I'm going to make a new video and I'm going to be experimenting with a lot of options to help us cool down these hives. And maybe almost every day. I'll do my best. But today we're going to use a fan and we're going to see if we can pull the heat out of the top of the hive using a Burns feeding system, mounting a fan on it. Let's get in there and give it a try. I'm pumped and excited because before we start our ventilation project today, we're going to judge the colonies and see who wins having the best beard. Starting with the top 5, we'll start with the lowest of the top 5. Coming in 5th place with a centered beard, not all the way across, but hanging down pretty low, 5th place. Good job, guys, or gals. Coming in 4th place, nice beard on this hive, heavy on the right side. Nice job, girls. And coming in 3rd place, a nice even beard hanging down about 3.5 to 4 inches. Good job, girls. Impressive on this hot day. Coming in 2nd place is the Flow Hive with a nice beard. 1st place goes to this hive. Look at the distance to the ground. Now the first thing that we're going to do in order to measure the success of our project is to drill a hole right here to put a temperature probe so we can monitor the temperature. I don't think any bees are going to fly out. Okay, and then we're going to get our temperature probe. I like these little thermometers, so let's turn it on. Oh, on and off. All right, here it comes. 90 degrees. Ouch. All right, we have inserted it into the hive and we're going to see what the temperature might be. Oh, we're going up to 92. I drilled the hole there so that I could get between the boxes and miss drilling into a frame, kind of going between the frames. 94, look at that. This thermometer is extremely accurate. Okay, so it looks like we've topped out at 94 degrees. Now we're going to put our ventilation fan in to see if we can cool the hive down. Let's give it a try. Guys, before we start this project, let me encourage you to please subscribe, click on the bell, be notified each time I make another video to help you guys out. Again, we have a Burns feeding system already installed, so no bees should fly up at us. We've been feeding them, and so we can take our jars out of here now. Oh, there's a beetle. One beetle down. I just saw one beetle. All right. All right, so here's the fan we're going to use, and here's the battery pack I'm going to use to power the fan. And I'll leave a link in the description below where you can buy these fans on Amazon. And they don't use any electricity, but we're going to mount it right on to the center hole. First, I got to remember which way the fan blows air. So let's plug it in and figure it out. I want to make sure. All right, so it's blowing up. I have it the right orientation there. All right, so what we're going to do is mount it right here, like that. And I got a screw gun ready, so let's just drill her down. I'm not going to sink these screws, I don't think, just enough to keep it from going away. Oh, it's solid. Okay. Alrighty. Now, I took the top off. The temperature is currently 96 degrees. Let me see if I can show you that. I think I got enough play. Yep, there's our temperature at 96 degrees. And that's by taking the top off. I don't know if that changes anything or we're just going to fluctuate anyway. So let's go ahead and plug our fan in and pull some air up and out of the hive. Okay, we turned our fan on. "96 degrees with the fan running. Now our probe could be sitting right in the center of the cluster, and the bees are in there and it's hot in the box. So that may not be a bad temperature for us to be at, but let's just see if this little fan might start pulling enough of that hot air out. Nothing impressive yet. Yep. We do have some bees, as you can see, they're smelling it. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to prevent that. They're smelling the hive, so let's go ahead and do a little adjustment. I'm going to put the top on. I brought a little piece of wood and I'm going to put it there. Now the bees can't get into the other bees if they're robber bees or something, but we're just going to go ahead and set the top on. We can still be able to pull. I can even feel the air coming out of the back of the hive here. Okay, we are seeing a little bit of a drop between 95, 96, and 97. It fluctuates. Now, one of the things I may want to check is I may want to try to blow air down. The bees may be actually pulling the air the other direction. They may be pulling it out of the bottom board. So let's go ahead and, for fun, let's reverse that fan and make it blow down and see if that changes the temperature. Temperature is still holding at 97. Yeah, let's blow some air down the hole now. See if that will assist them in actually pulling air, hot air, out of the front of the hive. Maybe that's what they're wanting to do. All right, so now we're blowing air on the top down into the hive, and it's still holding at 97 degrees. Let's try to move the fan over to the big rectangle opening of the hive. See if that makes any difference. Now this is an experiment. You gotta love experimenting with the hive. No immediate change. Let's look at the front, see what's going on there. Not much different in the activity of the front. No change in the temperature. Let's put it on the back hole, blowing it down onto the black hole above the probe about 9.5 inches approximately. Not seeing a difference in the temperature change, and I'll tell you why I think it is. I think bees have gathered around the probe, and I think their bodies are so close, maybe they're even, scrubbing the probe, looking at it, and their body has increased the temperature of the probe. Let me slide it out. All right, so I got my probe out now. Let's see how long it takes for the temperature to change on the outside air. See the temperature dropping to 95 pretty quickly. 94, should get down to about 90 probably. 93. And what we'll do when it gets to 90, we'll put the probe back in. It's about 90 degrees Fahrenheit right now in the shade. 91. Now I've got an experiment coming up either tomorrow or the next day, and it's going to be crazy. We're actually going to ice the hive and see if that can cool it off. I've got a good technique to ice a hive. You got to watch that video either on Tuesday or Wednesday. Be sure and check that video out. Be watching for that video. All right, so we're at 90 degrees. It could possibly drop to 89 since it's we've been out here a minute. It may have dropped, but let's go ahead and assume it's 90 degrees outdoors. Let's put our probe back in. All right, we're back in now. We've got our fan that's actually, which way is our fan blowing the air? It's blowing it down into the hive. Look how fast the temperature is going to rise inside the hive. 91. 92. Rising up to 94, people. Don't want to use this fan on the entrance. Some of you may be thinking, well, if you put it on the entrance and pulled air out of the entrance, maybe that would help exhaust some of the way the bees do it naturally, pulling that hot air out of the front of the bottom board. This has a screen bottom board on it, so I wouldn't really, it would just maybe pull underneath too, but I don't want to suck a bee into my fan blades. Back up to 97 degrees in the probe area in the center of the hive, 97 degrees. Isn't that amazing? 98 degrees inside that box. Wow, that's crazy. All right, so what I want to do now is a different type of experiment. We're at 98 degrees. So what we're going to do now is see, is it possible if we take the fan off and if we take the shell off and then we put a regular top cover on it, is it possible they're able to better control their temperature? Let's give that a try. Sometimes bees need to, push and pull air to actually, sometimes they'll pull air in and push it out. So what we can do is see if the temperature will change if we put the top on. Now we're not going to use any kind of support like jacking it up or anything. Just going to lay it on there just like that. All right, let's watch our thermometer here. Temperature says 98 degrees. Look at that. 97 with the top off, or 97 with the top on. Can they better circulate their own hive without the help of a top box, extra space? You think that having that extra box up there, the heat could go up in that box and maybe escape. Well, we're back up to 98, so not much change there. So this hive is maintaining a temperature today at 90 degrees, about 3 degrees over that 95 top mark. Now, does that mean that it's bad? Probably not. I mean, the bees can successfully regulate their own internal temperatures. That might be the temperature that they have found is best for them to reduce a greater temperature that would be present if they weren't circulating air out on their own. In other words, they're probably trying to figure out what amount of energy do we want to exert to keep it at a temperature that we can live with. In other words, they can work harder and get it down to 91, but then they're going to use a lot of energy. So this may be the temperature that the bees have settled on, that they want to keep this temperature on a very hot day. That's my guess. Now, also by putting a fan in there, the fan could actually help a lot. Even though the temperature may not change, what may be going on, they may benefit from the fan pulling or pushing air in. It might just stay at 98, but it might mean they're using less energy to keep it that way because the fan is helping. That's another thing that is a possibility. 99. 100, look at that, we've topped 100. Now we never saw that high of a temperature when we had the shell on top of the Burns feeding system. So I think, wow, 101 with the top on, dang. So again, this is anecdotal backyard beekeeping. I'd have to do this with 30 different hives, controlled hives, to get a more accurate scientific study on this. But as this temperature keeps climbing to 102 now wow, it just won't stop. Look at that, 103. But now I'm wanting to put the shell back on top of the Burns feeding system and allow some of that hot air to escape up through the holes on the Burns feeding system. Now, what I want to do now as part of this experiment is I actually want to drill a hole here so I can see the probe go across the top of these frames and we can actually examine what bees are doing to it. See if I can get it just... All right. So now we made an insert. We can get our probe and insert it to the top, get it out of the center of that brood area where bees might actually be balling it. So I'm hoping to go across. Let me get my camera where you can see it. Okay, so the temperature, the probe is at outside now. The temperature is back to roughly 101, 99. You can see it cooling off quite a bit. 98. .96. So let's go ahead and put it back in the new hole, see if it'll go above the frames. Oh yeah, there it is. See it right across the top. And now we can see how bees react to the probe. Now there's the probe. We're going to watch it. It's 94 degrees. Let's see if we can figure out what bees are doing to the probe. Are they balling it like they would ball a queen? a foreign subject in the hive may cause them to get all over it and ball it? Or is that just the temperature in the middle of the box? Could it be topping out at 110 degrees in there? Again, stay tuned all week long. I'm going to be doing a lot of studies like this to see what we can do to cool our hives when they're hot on a hot day like today. 91 degrees. Just as we suspected, let me get a close look here. They are all over that probe with their bodies. Can you see that? But the temperature, as you can see, even with them all over it, is 91 degrees. Hey, another thing we can try, let's move this fan over here and see what happens if we draw air up from the bottom across the probe. I started beekeeping in the, I don't know, early 90s, mid 90s, and I'll tell you what, I have enjoyed beekeeping so much because of stuff like this. I have experimented on my own, and it's crazy. You don't have to be an entomologist to do your own little studies. We have the smoker and the Langstroth hives that were invented by citizen scientists that, you know, just play with bees like we're playing with bees now. All right, look at this. We're actually sucking air. I don't know if you can see let me put this over here maybe. You see the temperature? 91 degrees, sucking air from the bottom and out. Now, it wouldn't surprise me that the temperature is going up because we're pulling hot air up and out. Does that make sense? I think we're kind of onto something here. Watch out, bee, don't get in there. So in other words, if we're pulling air from maybe this green bottom board below up out of the hive, we're actually going to see a little rise in temperature. So it was about 91 degrees. Now I'm thinking about laying something over the other two holes, the square hole for pollen patty and the other circular hole, to see if we can actually alter the temperature. So let me cover up both holes. Okay, I got both holes covered up now, so we're sucking air completely from the bottom now. 94 degrees. Not seeing a drastic change. Now, 94 is more the temperature that we need to see a colony on the inside be about 91 to 95 degrees. They can withstand hotter temperatures, of course, but this is more likely to be the temperature that they would try to keep their hive. This hive is not bearding very much out front, so some of the other hives are probably a lot warmer, a lot hotter, because they're bearding so much. Okay, we're not altering the temperature by covering the other holes. Now let's try to blow it down, see what it does to the temperature. It should cool off because we're blowing 90 degrees air right onto the probe. Yep, just as I suspected, we're at 93. I think we've also kind of removed some of the bees off of the probe. 92, that makes a lot of sense now. Should drop one more, maybe two. Yep, and there's 91. And I don't see any bees really around the probe anymore at all. They've all been kind of moving out of the way of the wind coming into the top here. Now let's reverse it and watch the temperature change again. Going to suck air from the hive, and it should start rising quite significantly. 91. Pulling air up from the hive itself. 92. What do we have? 93 when we were doing it earlier. At the top. Now that's where you would think a lot of the heat would be coming up into the top of the hive, right? I think there's an anomaly down below when we insert it between the two deeps. I don't think that's an accurate temperature place to measure for some reason. I just don't. I think I'm not sure, because it seems like heat would rise and most of the heat would be at the top of the hive up here. You could almost think you could feel it, right? So we're about 92, 93 degrees. I think that's a lot more accurate. I think where this probe goes in down below is where the bees start to ball it. Let's insert it down below again between the two deeps, and let's watch that temperature. Now remember, we're sucking air up out of the hive with the fan right now. And again, I've got these fans available. If you want to look at my description, I've got an Amazon link, an affiliate link where you can buy these little fans for nothing. And I'm just using a little battery pack that I use sometimes to power my phone or something that I need when I don't have access to a wall outlet. Yeah, look at that temperature on that probe between the two deeps, 96 degrees. So it's going to keep going higher and higher. But another thing I want to test on this probe is I think I want to put it down into, see, yeah, I can do that. I want to put it down, I think it'll fit between the 1/8" hardware cloth and in between frames. Let's see if we can do that. Let's measure that. So we got up to 98 down there. So let's just push this down without going into any, I'm going right between the frames. All right. It'd be interesting to see what the temperature is between frames and the top. Still drawing air out. The temperature is rising to 94. I am sweating so much. 95. And that's measuring it. Probably the probe is taking a sample based on the probe. Probably at least 3 to 4 inches. It's where it's pulling its measurement from the top of the frame. So we're at 96 here. Again, let me say that this fan isn't really expected to change the temperature of the inside of the hive because it's not a real powerful fan. Plus, I feel that the bees are working and exerting a certain amount of energy to keep the hive at a certain temperature. And even if the fan is helping, it might mean that they're working less. They're having to work less because the fan could be helping get rid of some hot, moist air. We just don't, that's the part we don't know. I really feel, and I have nothing to back me up, so don't leave a comment saying I'm an idiot. I'm admitting that I have no way to really know for certain. But I just feel that, and I know this isn't science, this is a feeling, but I feel like if we can help draw some hot, moist air out of the top where it's rising to anyway, that is bound to help. By the way, guys, this is a great thermometer. It's actually designed more for candy. You can see we use it for winter bee kinds, and it's a great way that you can quickly measure if you're cooking candy. So just remember Thermo Pro. These also hook wirelessly to another reader. So, you know, if you don't want to stand by your hot boiling pan all day, you can carry the other end of this wirelessly and clip it on your belt or something, and you can monitor the temperature from afar. Hey guys, I want to remind you, I answer questions from all of the Beak Squad, all of you that join me on my live stream every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Would you join me? I'd love to see more of you there. I put a lot of effort into my live stream. Sherry and I work hard for you guys on Thursday night to make this happen, and it makes us feel a little bit better if some of you show up and enjoy it. So check it out. Here's the link right here, but check out a link in the description as well for this Thursday's live stream, 7 p.m. Central Time. See you there. Oh gosh, guys, I can't tell you how hot I am right now. I am just totally sweating something terrible. It's fiercely hot in the bee yard, and I know all of you across the country right now, all week long, it's going to get hotter. So I'm going to make a video every single day for you guys on helping you figure out how to keep your bees a little bit cooler. But a takeaway from this today is bees are pretty darn good at cooling off their own hive. They may not need a lot of help from us. So I think, again, what I've said before, provide them some shade, get them some water nearby. They can keep water, go out and get water to keep their hive cool. Be sensible. You know, you may want to prop open the top a little bit just to help them circulate some air. But I don't know if we're going to gain much advantage by using technology such as fans to cool our hive. Who knows? But we're going to do some other experiments. Tomorrow, I'm going to ice the hive. You got to watch that video, okay? And again, be sure and subscribe. Click on that bell to be notified each time I make a video. Guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you doing this, watching me in my bee yard, just kind of experiment around. A lot of these experiments don't mount to anything. But once in a while, somebody might accidentally invent the smoker or invent the Langstroth hive. So you got to keep trying. I got a great video for you to watch if you're having trouble inspecting your hives in August because of robbing and it's just so hot. Here's a video on some tips about inspecting your hive in the month of August. See you over there.